What if I told you a company raised $1.75 billion, got the biggest names in Hollywood on board, built genuinely new technology, and still collapsed in just 6 months? This isn't a hypothetical. This actually happened. And here's the strange part. The money wasn't stolen. The technology wasn't fake. Some of the smartest, most experienced people in the industry were running this company. So how does something like that still fail this badly? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why, and why the same mistake still happens today, just on a smaller scale. This is the story of Quibi. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the man who co-founded DreamWorks Animation and helped build some of the biggest animated franchises in history, had a new idea. What if short-form video wasn't just cheap phone clips? What if it was premium, cinematic, Hollywood-quality shows, but broken into episodes of 10 minutes or less, designed for the small pockets of time in someone's day? A commute, a coffee break, a line at the store. He originally called the company New TV. Later, it became Quibi, short for Quick Bites. To run the business day-to-day, Katzenberg brought in Meg Whitman, the former CEO of both eBay and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. On paper, this partnership looked unbeatable. A legendary content mind paired with a proven operator. And investors believed it completely. Before a single episode aired, Quibi raised $1.75 billion. Disney, NBC Universal, Viacom, some of the largest media companies on the planet backed this idea. The pitch was simple, and honestly, it made sense. People are busy. Phones are everywhere. So build content specifically for the in-between moments of daily life. By early 2020, expectations were enormous. At one of the biggest tech conferences in the world, Katzenberg and Whitman took the stage to reveal Quibi's secret weapon, a patent-pending technology called Turnstile. Here's what made it special. Normally, if you rotate your phone while watching a video, you get awkward black bars, or the video just doesn't adjust. Turnstile let video shift seamlessly between vertical and horizontal, reframing the shot in real time depending on how you held your phone. It was genuinely impressive technology. The press coverage was massive. Quibi wasn't just launching a streaming app. It felt like it was launching a new way of watching video entirely. Everything was set up for a huge debut. But underneath the impressive tech demo, there were decisions being made that would come back to hurt the company badly. First, Quibi launched as a mobile-only app. No support for casting to a TV. If you wanted to watch on a bigger screen, you simply could not. Second, and maybe more damaging, there was no way to take a screenshot or share a clip. None. In an era built entirely around memes, reaction clips, and moments going viral on social media, Quibi shows could not be shared at all when the app first launched. Think about that for a second. This was a company targeting a mobile-first, social media native generation, and it stripped out the one feature that generation uses constantly: sharing. It would take until 3 months after launch for Quibi to introduce any kind of screenshot function. And even then, it worked through an awkward press and hold gesture instead of a normal phone screenshot due to licensing restrictions from content partners. By then, the damage to word-of-mouth growth was already done. And then there was the timing. Quibi launched on April 6, 2020. Stop and think about what was happening in the entire world at that exact moment. Lockdowns, offices closed, commutes gone, coffee lines gone. Quibi had built its entire identity, its entire pitch to investors around one specific behavior: watching premium video during small gaps in a busy mobile lifestyle. And overnight, that lifestyle disappeared for millions of people. Katzenberg would later publicly point to the pandemic as the main reason for Quibi's struggles. But critics pushed back hard on that explanation, because at the very same time, other streaming services were seeing massive growth. People were still watching video. They just weren't watching it the way Quibi had bet everything on. Here's where things get genuinely brutal. In its first 3 days, Quibi was downloaded by around 910,000 people. A strong start, driven by the marketing hype. But Quibi offered a 90-day free trial. And when that trial ended, only about 72,000 of those users actually converted into paying subscribers. That's a conversion rate most businesses would consider a disaster. Quibi had projected millions of subscribers within its first year. The real number fell drastically short of that target. Meanwhile, the content wasn't cheap. Quibi was reportedly paying enormous licensing costs per minute of content, rates that rivaled major prestige television, for shows most people had never even heard of. There was genuine star power involved, big-name actors and hosts. Some shows even earned Emmy nominations. But none of that mattered if people weren't opening the app in the first place. Great talent and expensive production couldn't fix a habit problem. Behind the scenes, Katzenberg reportedly reached out to other major companies, hoping someone would acquire Quibi outright and keep it alive. Nobody bit. In October 2020, just 6 months after its dramatic launch, Quibi announced it would shut down. By December 1st, the app stopped streaming entirely. Then, in January 2021, another streaming platform acquired what was left, Quibi's entire content library of more than 75 shows, for a price reported to be significantly less than $100 million. Let that sink in for a moment. $1.75 billion raised, sold off in the end for a fraction of that, under $100 million. So what actually killed Quibi? It wasn't one single mistake. It was a chain of confident assumptions that were never truly tested with real users before launch. Quibi assumed a specific daily habit, watching short premium video during small gaps, would stay constant, no matter what happened in the world. It assumed people wanted this content badly enough to pay for it, without giving them an easy way to share it, or even watch it on the screen they actually preferred. And maybe most importantly, it assumed that enough star power and enough funding could substitute for something you can only get by listening to real users first: product market fit. Here's the takeaway for anyone building something: a channel, a business, an app, even a personal brand. Money and talent can buy attention. They cannot force people to change habits they already have. If what you're building doesn't fit naturally into how people already live, no budget is large enough to fix that. Quibi isn't remembered as a scam. Nobody stole the money. It's remembered as a warning that even with brilliant technology, nearly $2 billion, and some of the biggest names in Hollywood, ignoring what real users actually want can bring the whole thing down in under a year. If you found this breakdown interesting, let me know in the comments which failed company you want me to cover next.